Good morning. Thank you for listening to WXOX 97.1 FM in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Artist Talk with LVA, and I'm your host, Keith Waits. The show is produced by Louisville Visual Art, and we're here today to talk about artists in an upcoming exhibit called Affirmations of Color and Life and the Allied Drawers Consortium, Paintings and Drawings. It is going to be at Pyro Gallery from September 2nd through the 25th. And the show is primarily the recent paintings of Aaron Lubrick. His work depicts many scenes from his daily interactions of being an art teacher, father, and artist, finding moments of color orchestrated within compositions of playgrounds, construction scenes, and still lives. Lubrick relies on symbolism and an overall sense of gesture to make his paintings feel fresh and alive. The Allied Drawers Consortium will also be represented at the gallery. Each artist will have one figure drawing represented and one personal piece of art. Aside from that, Aaron was a founding member of the Allied Drawers Consortium. The other member artists who are involved in this exhibit, who have been drawing together for 5 years now, and we'll find out all about how that came to be, are Noah Howard, Colleen Kleins, Maggie Kleins, Richard Sullivan, Kevin Arthur, and then of course Aaron Lubrick. And also joining us now is Aaron, but also Kevin Arthur and Noah Howard from this group. So thank you guys for all being here today.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So Aaron, you've been on the show before. You are a Pyro member, right?
Yep, that's right.
Which is a an artist's gallery, co-op gallery, the only one in Louisville now. And so talk to me. Well, you know, at first, I'll change my mind. Let's talk first about the consortium. So it's sort of a, I think, I don't know if you're required exactly as a Pyro member, but it seems like it's at least a tradition. Pyro members do, when they show, they are asked to maybe bring in a partner. It's not necessarily a member or whatever like that. And so talk to me about how you decided, talk to me about the consortium and how they come to be involved with you in this show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, what is, years ago, Noah Howard and Richard and Maggie and Colleen and Kevin, they just came to me, and this was before I was a member at Pyro. And they were like, hey, we should do some figure drawing, because they knew I taught figure drawing at Spalding University, and knew I had a figure drawing group that I kind of, had to kind of take a little bit of a hiatus from, just with having kids and things like that at a young age. And they said, hey, let's get this thing going again. And I said, all right. But we'd been into that for a couple of years. And then Pyro had asked me to become a member, which I happily agreed to. And it's been a cool experience. And, I guess the Allied Drawers Consortium, we'd been around together for 5 years now, and we've been doing good work. We've been meeting really when things get moving, sort of when, the fall and spring come into session. We meet, weekly. Every Thursday night we draw together, and I usually paint. Most folks tend to draw, and and we just kind of have made a real nice habit of it. And it's been a really healthy thing, I think, for all of us. And with this show at Pyro Gallery that I'm having, I just felt like we've done such good work, the Allied Drawers Consortium. And I wanted to give us all an opportunity to kind of get together and enjoy the work that we've made together. Also, I should say I'm an identical twin. And I know that because of being a twin, I understand that like doing things with other people is really fun. And, I guess maybe like I'm a little, I wouldn't say nervous to have my own exhibition. But at the same time, I just think like, those shared experiences, I think, mean more in a lot of ways than just having kind of like my own. So anyway, I like us in the group, and I thought, hey, let's do this along with me having two galleries. The Allied Drawers Consortium would have the back sort of big gallery. So yeah,
because Pyro is a pretty good sized space, but it is broken up into different sort of rooms, which is which is kind of nice, I think.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different than a typical sort of gallery situation. Well,
Yeah.
Noah Howard is sitting right next to you. You guys are in Aaron's studio, so let me switch over to you. Aaron, we'll come back and talk about your work, but I don't want to let one person talk too long. So Noah Howard, talk to us about uh, uh, being in the consortium and a little bit about what, obviously we're going to see a drawing from you from the consortium sessions as the intro explains, but also a little bit more about what kind of work you do, like what's your personal art practice and what does it accomplish?
Sure. Um, so firstly, I'd like to kind of reiterate the communal element of this group. I think has been a lot of what I've found, the value that I've found in it. And so what Aaron's saying about this kind of better together vibe is really, I think, where a lot of the heart and strength of this practice, the group itself being a practice of helping each other to get out and to be present and to witness together. I think that is that's a lot of the value that I find in the group, and how, as far as how that ties into my greater creative practices. My formal education was in studio arts and painting, drawing, printmaking, and when I was in college, a lot of the painting that I did was more, very representational, and I would say more traditional in its approach. And after college, or towards the end of my college experience, I started getting much more into a wide variety of media and approaches, and got much more exploratory in the materials that I used. And there was a lot of walking the streets and just seeing what I could find, in my neighborhood. And the source materials varied widely, and how they were worked with varied widely as well. And I would say that what this drawing group has done for me over the last 5 years is really started to reconnect with the joys that I get from observational work, and really taking the time to be present and soak in a circumstance, and to have that be a shared experience in a room where you have, you got a bunch of people really paying attention together. And I feel like that just sets a vibe that is, the camaraderie is undeniable. And anyway, so I feel like dialing into that with this group has been really nice. And so, yes, so I'll have a drawing that was done within the group that we did. But I took this opportunity actually for putting in another item of, my work, to actually pick up a paintbrush again, which I had set down, for about 20 years. So I'm doing a painting that is very much in line with the things that inspire me now. But I'm doing it in response to the fact that I've been a part of this group as well. So it's a very fresh painting. I have been doing a lot of collage work over the last several years, but this is actually an oil painting that I've been working on for this show. So it's yeah, that's what I'm bringing.
Is it abstract or representational? I mean, I don't want to give it away.
Representational.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a representational painting. So a lot of the collage work that I've done over the last several years has been working with elements from my grandparents that yeah, if you hang out with me much, I'll probably tell you the story many times over. But really, I took a leading role in my family for helping to sort and disperse the accumulation of my grandparents on my paternal side. Their lives when they were gone and their house needed to be cleared out. I found it very hard though to actually part ways with a lot of that. So a lot of collage work was informed by just repurposing and reconfiguring a lot of the sentimental materials. My grandmother loved the National Enquirer, and they so there was a lot of sensationalism that was a part of
Sure.
that atmosphere. But then also just reworking a lot of the objects in the home as well. So that's all to say that what this painting is of a life preserver from my grandfather. Yeah, from when the family used to go out, you know, camping and swimming in the lake, and so it's a painting of a life preserver. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, you've been waiting patiently down there in Florida. You're visiting us from Florida today. So what can you tell us about the work you will have on the walls of Pyro?
I'm a portrait and figurative artist mostly. I do some plein air and landscape work, but mostly I've been focusing on portrait. I teach here in Jacksonville, and thanks to Aaron, I'm one of the newest members of the group, I believe. So every time I'm in Southern Indiana, which is where I'm from, I make sure that I stop by and visit Aaron and his drawing group. And every time I go to a different town, I always find a drawing group to join. And so it's been a blessing to be a part of this group.
Great.
But the work
Cool.
that you'll see on the wall is during the pandemic, I was kind of quarantining myself a lot here in my studio in Jacksonville. So a lot of my work has been self-portraits. So one of the pieces will be a self-portrait of me during the pandemic. No, this would be pre-pandemic. And then the other one is one of my recent works. So it's both portraits.
You must be very good at beards if you were doing a lot of self-portraits, because you have quite an impressive beard.
Thanks. Yes, I've played with painting beards for a while here.
It's quite epic, actually, I have to say.
Thank you.
So, but so you live in Jacksonville, but do you do a lot of traveling when you talk about going to different groups in different places, or is it
Yes,
just
every time I go to a different town, whenever we go on vacation or anytime we're, you know, you'd have a little length of time, I try to do a meetup, or I always find some sort of group. I don't think I've been disappointed at any town that I've gone to.
Okay. Well, Aaron, let's come back to you. You've also been patient. So talk to me about the work that you have in the show and what the journey has been to this place.
Yeah, thanks. I overall trying to think about my journey with this exhibition. I feel like I've been pretty diligent the last almost 2 years now, trying to get things together for this exhibition. And I feel really proud of the work that I've made. And I feel like it's taken me in some directions I didn't think I would get to, which is, I think, really cool. You know, Shannon Westerman invited me to a Frederick Olmsted exhibition that I think is on pause right now. I'm not sure if it's happening, but I personally, I've worked at the Olmsted Parks a lot, painting in the parks and things like that. But, you know, I sort of planned out with Shannon that I was going to do a really large painting, and then I was also going to do a video piece as well, like a stop motion video piece of me painting at the park. And it's a really cool experience when I go to Cherokee Park, and for the most part, Big Rock is where I've really been painting. And you know, it's really turned into kind of a social event. You know, like I go and I just set up and I paint all these wonderful, amazing people swimming and having fun at Big Rock Park. And I just get like droves of kids and people and adults and all walks of life coming through and looking at my painting while I'm making it. And it's been really cool. I mean, I knew, you know, I've made some paintings here years in the past, and I've had some luck. Like, you know, I've made a couple really great paintings that I've shown in multiple places in New York and Philadelphia and things like that. But really kind of having something to kind of shoot for, because really what I was doing is trying to make smaller paintings there, then take those smaller paintings back to my studio and work on a larger painting. That has been an amazing experience because I've met so many rad people, and all these kids will come up to me and watch me, and then they'll want to be in my painting, and I will say, sure, yeah, go stand over there, and I can put them in, really in about 5 or 10 minutes quickly, and then they come back and they're shocked, and they are, yeah, but I will say that it has been very interesting because most of the people there are kind of marginalized folks. I mean, I think that they're there because they don't really have access to a swimming pool or places to really like cool off in the hot summer. And they are the kindest people I have ever met. I mean, there was one time where there was a lady, she asked if I would paint her kids in this painting I was working on. I was like, sure, of course. And she tried to give me $8. And I was like, no. And it wasn't that she wanted the painting. She was just so excited that I put her kids in my painting. And, and I just said, hey, do you have a cerveza? And she was like, yeah, we do have that. And so, so it's been really cool to be there. I've also been painting, my children, playing at playgrounds and things like that. And then I've been working on, I had a little bit of luck making some interesting construction paintings in the past that I think are really fun and kind of, colors are kind of bright, and a lot of colors are dull, but then there's a couple flickers of really bright colors that are expressionistic and interesting. And there's, colorful shapes such as like dump trucks and signs and things like that. And I've kind of been playing off of the abstraction a little bit and atmospheric perspective. And then I've been working a little bit on some still lifes as well in my studio. Mostly those came from the winter months or the cooler months, There's one painting that I made at the start of the Ukraine-Russian war that is, kind of interesting, I think, to me. Yeah, so I've been kind of, I feel as though I'm really maturing a little bit as an artist, and I have been able to see things in a different light than I thought I would, at this point of the show, and I'm really excited about that, and I'm really happy to be able to share those experiences with people in the park. I think that's probably, I'd say, the biggest joy of this show for me. So.
Well, it's interesting that you talk. I mean, I think most people who think about going out to paint don't think about like not being bothered by people and not being, but it's interesting to hear you talk about how open you've been to that, so that they're sort of collaborators in a sense, right? That they're saying, hey, paint my kid, and suddenly you paint that kid. It's like decisions about the composition are being made or influenced greatly by these people. It seems like a very unusual circumstance in a way.
Well, Keith, I usually am very annoyed when people come up to me, but I'm going to tell you what, I mean, these people are extremely kind.
Different.
I mean, the music they have playing, I mean, it's a really different experience to go there. I mean, it's really, you feel a part of something, that's bigger than, and, there's a lot of folks that, it's like the highlight of their week or month or something like that to just be there. And it feels really special. So
do you have have you made friends, or do you get the same people come up to you week after week? So it's a whole,
yeah.
And what do they call you, the painting guy?
They call me the painter. In fact, we've used this really wonderful family, Chavo and his family. They've done some concrete work for us, and I mean, on and on and on. There's a guy, John Taylor, who actually I've used as a model for years and years, a wonderful guy. And he is there every day. And this guy cleans up the place. He's there with a bag. He cleans up all the trash every morning. And then he actually kind of mans the rope swing so things don't kind of get out of hand, you know, a little bit. And I mean, it's a really beautiful thing. Yeah.
So it's sort of just, it sounds like sort of an organic sense of community has grown out of
Yeah.
the scene. Cool.
Indeed.
What I would say, having just looked at a couple of digital images that are from this exhibit and having seen your work before, and first, of course, I will say it's never enough to look at digital images. You need to go to the space and look at the actual paintings. But just what I was seeing in those digital images, you know, that your work. I mean, I've been in your studio, you know, I've had conversations about your work before. So it's representational, but there's a very sort of almost abstract expressionist quality to thing. Like you're not doing highly representational images, but it seemed like you were focusing in on some detail. Maybe I'm seeing something like there was a little bit more detail in the characters, a little more delineation of maybe some features and things like that. Is that something you're consciously going after, or is that something that maybe has resulted from this unique social community you've become a part of?
Yeah, I think, well, I think that's all of that what you're saying is really fair. I mean, I try to have an overall sensibility. Abstraction is, I think, and gesture are really important features to my paintings. But within that, I think that, you know, to capture the folks that are amongst those spaces that I'm painting, it does require a bit of specificity of color and shape. You know, when my painting's working and I feel like there's some magic that has happened, I think really it comes from the specificity of attention to color. And I think when I really kind of nail the color down of a person, generally like their bathing suit or their flesh tone or the water behind them or something like that, you know, when they come back to actually see how I painted them, there is this kind of shock to them that they identify that as them, you know, and you know, and I would say I painted out maybe some of the paintings multiple times and then painted more people in. I think a lot about the artist George Wesley Billows in those sort of you know, turn of the century kind of industrial urban scenes that he painted. You know, these I think are much kind of happier or something, but you know, there's an energy, and I think you're right. I think the specificity of color and shape and negative shape, I think, is really what kind of lets people identify, you know,
Right.
what they see.
Well, let's move around again here a little bit. I want to just be able to take a moment to give some attention to the other artists who aren't even here talking to us. So let me just ask you, Kevin, let's start with you. What would you want to tell us about one or more of the other artists in the show? You can just pick one that you would make a comment about if you'd like.
Well, Aaron specifically, I had the opportunity to join him in the Big Rock Park last time I visited up there, and it is truly a treasure to watch. People are really excited. He carries these huge canvases out there and these big bags of paint and color, and he sets up right beside the creek, and they're all around him the whole time. And it was just truly amazing.
Cool. Noah, I'll give you a shot. Who would you maybe want to comment on?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I definitely couldn't really single out anybody so much. I wish that more people could be here tonight to talk. But you know, Aaron was talking about Maggie and Colleen, who our sisters, and really, yeah, live incredibly creative and lives. They have founded and run the On Shawl project that does exceptional textile work. Come to the show and talk to them and learn, learn about On Shawl for sure. Richard Sullivan is an amazing drawer and painter, and really has had great successes in working with professional sports teams. He played for the Braves for a bit, so his background is in baseball, professional sports, and he has always just been an amazing artist as well, and had decided to pursue that. And so his painting in the show will be, he has a painting of a baseball player that he did for a professional series, and so I would also say, yeah, Michelle Munizaga is one of our, joined our crew many times. She doesn't have anything in the show, but I loved her drawings, and I had hoped that she was going to be able to participate. Colette Henderson, who's our friend that's in out of state right now with addressing much needed family needs, so she won't be able to be present in the show.
Are there other people in the group that aren't in the show? I mean, you mentioned that Colette has had reasons to be away, but are there more people in the group that were represented in the show? Or
I would say that there are. I mean, over time, there's kind of been a core group of us that, for one reason or another, are able to show up more often. But yeah, the show is not the totality. Who is present in the show is not the totality of the group.
Well, is there? And I'm just curious because I don't know. I don't know anything about the group except what you're telling me in this interview. But are there people that are in that group that aren't artists who are trying to show or exhibit their work in some way, but just enjoy the activity of drawing?
Absolutely, and I think that's part of why I kept coming back. It was that it's there's a great range of folks that want to draw, and it's purely for the joy and the learning experience and the shared experience of being able to do that. And there is no other pursuit other than being in the space and taking the time to capture something and to really pay attention to something. And that's why I love it, for sure. Everybody's got a different job that they go to the next day, and
Right.
Some people might throw their drawings away. It's like what you end up with on the page has very little to do with why you show up. And
This is absolutely inspirational to me, and I'll just briefly tell you why. All summer I've been working cultural paths with kids coming in, and usually it's just like, we say, hey, we have a comic book format, and just tell a story, make it just simple, do whatever, just have fun. And this is the first time that I have found we had a lot of kids this year who were so uptight about their perception that they didn't have an ability to draw. And I'm just like, okay, but just have fun, just enjoy it. Don't let anybody look at it, whatever, destroy it later. But they were caught up in that, and it made me sad, because I think of kids as being like that, they aren't caught up. Like, we learn all those things as adults to get self-conscious and self-critical and all these things. But you're talking about, as adults, the importance of artists, or even just people as adults, finding that place again where you sort of have just the pleasure in doing it without being so caught up in what you think of it, what anybody else thinks of it, whether it sells or anything like that. And
I would say,
I'd just say that, I think that that's the sort of the reason why we're all there. And that's the reason why, us have kind of found each other, is that we don't want a place where we feel self-conscious. We want a place where we really can be free and totally accepting. One of the cool things is like, I'll make a painting, the painting that I'm gonna have in our Allied Drawers Consortium exhibition. I kind of personally was, insecure about it. I thought, I don't really know if I like it that much. It was of a model, our model Casey, and he was seated behind a plant, And but everybody else was like, no, Aaron, I really like this painting, and so it's a really helpful group of people that really, they're very kind. It's really a nice thing to be a part of.
Well, is that a part of the group?
Supportive.
Kevin,
Very
I'll let
supportive.
yeah, maybe let you answer this to give you some time. Well, supportive, but like, did you all help choose, or did everybody just say, here's the thing that goes in? Sounds like Aaron had some important feedback. How much discussion was there about what goes in the show between the artists in the group? Kevin.
Are you asking me?
Kevin, yeah, I thought I'd give you a chance to answer.
Yes. Well, during my last visit, we had several meetings to discuss it, and it was in Aaron's studio. So naturally, we kind of were drawn to certain pieces. And yeah, I think we helped decide what we wanted to talk about as a group and what our part would be in the gallery, and how we could make that work. And he's always pulling you into this group. I'm just privileged to be a part of the group.
Well, he's a teacher too. It's Spalding.
Yes.
Do you guys teach, Kevin and Noah? Are you teaching, or have you taught?
Yes, I teach here in Jacksonville. I have a private studio,
Mhm.
and I teach pastel and figure. I had several figure groups that I was running, but since the pandemic, I kind of let that slide. Just now getting back into it, and I've opened up a bigger space here in the studio. So we're going to start things back up here in Jacksonville, and I have a really good support group here, and it helps to bridge the gap with art. Like when I get up in southern Indiana, I always make sure that we get together in Louisville with my Louisville group, but I also have a group in Madison, Indiana, and they've joined me in Louisville several times. So it's kind of making those connections wherever you go. You can find it. You just got to look.
Great. Noah, what about you? Do you teach, or are you talking about having a job to go to? Like, are you a teacher?
Yeah.
What do you do when you're
I
not?
I do not teach. Yeah.
Okay.
My job work is not in this field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever taught?
No, aside from, being a teacher's assistant in college, for a semester or two, no, I have not.
I'm just always curious. I was at an event once where there was somebody who's getting an award for being an arts educator, and looked out at an audience full of people, most of whom probably weren't in a formal teaching position, but were artists. And he said, well, this is great, but you're all teachers. You do what you do, and whatever that looks like, you're all teachers, because you're connecting to the world in a way that accomplishes that, whether it's a formal classroom thing, whether you have tenure at a place or whatever. We're all artists are teachers and contributing in an important way.
Right on.
Not to take away from Aaron, who is
He's
formally
definitely a teacher.
I agree with that. I think it's important, and I think honestly, our society, for some reason, doesn't realize that. I think if we all took a bit more stake in, showing the generations above and below us, and feeling more communal, I think that things might be a little different.
Mhm. Yeah, yes, I would also say on that front, yeah, I ultimately agree. I ultimately totally agree. Yeah, with what you said, Keith. And I would say that I see that I've had the great fortune of joining Kevin and Aaron out at Big Rock at the park, and witnessing and participating in that scene. And I was really, I also tend to not really put myself out there very much. I don't want to be talking to people. Like, I want to have my creative time and sit in the corner for the most part. And that's why this group has been good for me. But I was really nervous about being in a public space where somebody could easily look over your shoulder and, have a thought about whatever it is you're trying to work out on the page. And I was really, really amazed at how genuinely supportive and curious everybody at the water hole there was. You know,
Right.
everybody was just like really intrigued, and like I'm so used to unfortunately more and more accustomed to people just living through their devices and just like having this really thin experience with the outside world, because everything is virtual. And you know, there is, you know, like to have so many strangers just be so engaged with the fact that you're paying attention to them in real time, and that they are paying attention to you in real time, and the authenticity of like, you know, we're all alive right here. And so coming back to the studio and seeing Aaron's paintings, and you know, I can feel that, like I get it, you know, like I've come to understand that in a different capacity through getting to know Aaron better over the years, and through seeing his paintings of people, you know, out in the wild, like in our wild humanity, you know, doing what we do. And his capturing of that, I feel like, is really valuable.
That's the next show, right, Aaron? Out in the wild.
Yeah.
See, look, you got the title for the next show.
It's
And I have
good.
an idea too. So
I
you
like
take
that.
8-inch canvases out there and have those kids paint some, and they can be the people that come in with you on the next show.
There you go. There you go. That's right.
Oh, that's
And
a good idea. See,
there's been a lot of kids that have asked to paint on my painting, and often I'm like, you know, but part of me, the art teacher in me, is like, I wish you could paint, but maybe not on this painting right now. But yeah,
Well, maybe you just set up a canvas for them to work on. They can each have like, here, you do a little thing there, you do a little thing there, and you have this hodgepodge thing come out of it. That would be cool. Just to
I
see.
think that's a great idea, Keith. Honestly, I think I should do that.
I feel like I'm putting you on the spot though, like, and I feel like, you know, honestly, I've been sitting here thinking, although your work doesn't look like this, the techniques are wildly different. I can't help but feel like it's a little bit like you're modern day George Seurat, out in the park, you know, painting the people, and the people are you know,
Yeah, well,
in the park with Aaron, you know.
yeah, there we go.
I like Seurat.
Plotting your whole career out here, and it's really cool. Well, listen, you guys, thank you so much. I think we'll wrap it up now, but I'll just say it again for everybody. Members of the Allied Drawers Consortium. I've been talking with Noah Howard and Kevin Arthur and Aaron Lubrick, who is having an exhibit at Pyro Gallery called Affirmations of Color and Life, and the Allied Drawers Consortium Paintings and Drawings. That will open September 2nd. And Aaron, there's a reception that night, right?
That's right, 6 to 9. Yes,
Yeah,
please,
6 to
please
9.
come. Yeah, I'd love to see you.
Pyro, yeah. And the show runs to the 25th. So this is the September show. And once again, because I cannot say it, literally, I cannot say it enough. Don't ever settle for seeing digital images. Go to the space, look at the work, have that. It's always different. It's always different than what you see digitally. It never is enough. You've got to be in the space. And this is your opportunity to meet all these cool artists and actually maybe ask some questions about their work and what they do. So Aaron, Noah, Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
See you guys later.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.